whips it into the back of the net, and the Cougars go up 3-1.
He'll swung on and missed, strike three.
Shot, fadeaway three, got it!
Wow.
Oh, what a shot!
Welcome once again to another issue of the Bobby Cremins Show. I'm Nate Ross, your host, of course, joined by the head coach of the College of Charleston, Bobby Cremins. Coach, an unusual week for your basketball team. Unfortunately, Anthony Stick gets hurt in the Greensboro game, and then the Elon game is the one we're going to talk about specifically. You had a day to prepare for it and decide who's going to be your fifth starter.
Yeah, you know, Nate, injuries are all part of the game, and it's easy to say something like that, but when they occur, sometimes they're really a hardship. And I'm so proud of our team. What we do, it's real simple. Whoever the sixth man was on the perimeter, he becomes a starter. Whoever the seventh man was, he becomes the sixth man. And conversely, the same inside. If we lose a post guy, our first sub in the post becomes a starter. So the young man who had the sixth spot was a young man by the name of Nori Johnson. The guy who had the seventh spot was Jordan Scott. So Nori Johnson becomes a starter, Jordan Scott becomes the sixth man, and Javante Dixon fills in the seventh slot. And that's all you can do. But I told the team that we had a new challenge, and I was just so proud of the way we played defensively. We came out with a lot of inspiration, and we had great respect for Elon going into the game, and I thought our first half defense was a real key.
It sounds really simple, just move a guy up the ladder, but it worked.
It did work, and I give the credit to the young men and my staff. I can't say enough about our bigs. Our bigs
Unbelievable.
They played very well. Ajay Baru and, of course, Trent Wiedemann. That was outstanding.
18 points, 12 rebounds for Ajay, 3 blocks, 3 steals, no fouls, and no turnovers.
Right. And, you know, everybody says to me, all right, now, you lose your starting point guard, but everybody knows you have Andrew Lawrence who can play the point.
Right.
And everybody says to me, now, who's going to be the backup point? And it's simply, we call it point guard by committee. That's who our point guard is. So the key word here is interchangeable. We got Antoine Wiggins got to be able to play the point. Jordan Scott's got to be able to play, Nori Johnson. And you try and somehow do it by committee. Now, obviously, with Andrew Lawrence, when he's in the game, we want the ball to go to him, and he become our point guard. And I feel like our team knows that. But we've got to, other teams are going to realize that.
Sure.
And so what we're doing, we're playing point guard by committee.
And 28 points out of your 2 big guys and 17 rebounds for Trent Wiedemann.
Oh, boy, my staff. We do rebounding drills every day.
It worked.
And Andrew Wilson, who played at Florida State, keeps saying, do you guys realize where you're ranked in the country in rebounding? You're near the end, the worst. It can't get any worse than where you guys are. And finally, we had a game where we rebounded well.
And you've been saying it all year long. You want to get the ball inside. You got the ball inside.
Well, yeah, we did get the ball inside. But I think, again, the key, Nate, is we played great defense. I mean, this league is tough. There are no easy games. And, yes, we've been dealt a tough blow. These injuries are starting to wear me down, Nate. First of all, a year ago, Jeremy Simmons.
Yep.
And now, of course, in the beginning of the year, Willis Hall, ACL.
And 2 years ago, Antoine.
And 2 years ago, Antoine. But, you know, you pick up the paper every day. And there's so many injuries across the country. And injuries are part of the game. It's great when you avoid them. But when they do happen, you've got to go forward.
Well, Coach, a great win at home against Elon, and then got to turn it right around in 2 days and take it up to Davidson with Coach Bob McKillop in an undefeated Davidson team in a very tough environment to play.
Yeah, Nate, you know, we've heard so much about Davidson this year, and Bobby's got him back. And we've heard so much about Jake Cohen. And, of course, their big win over Kansas and being undefeated in the league. And guess what, Nate? Everything I heard about, and, of course, I watched the Kansas game, everything I heard about and what we've seen is absolutely true. Bobby's got them back. And right now, without a doubt, you have to say they're the top team in the SoCon. They're undefeated right now, and of course they're in our division, and they're #1 in our division. Nate, we got off to a bad start early on. Jay Cohen was killing us the first half. He is smooth, he is relentless, and he can shoot the three. The biggest thing, Nate, is that the real bright spot right early on is Nori Johnson. This kid is starting his second game. He's come out of nowhere, and he's given us a lift. He's done a great job. In the second half, Nate, that was crucial. We really had a great opportunity to get back in the game. I believe we cut it to 6.
Yep, you're right.
And we had some missed free throws there, and one time Matt Sundberg missed 2 free throws, and I don't have to tell you, he's just an outstanding shooter.
83% free throw shooting. And he started laughing because he doesn't do that.
No, he just doesn't do that. As you said, it's a tough environment, but Davidson, they moved that ball, Nate, they get the ball inside. We kind of had to leave our post guys a little naked inside. And because we respect their outside shooting, and they love to kick it out. And when the ball went inside, we needed somehow, some way, to get in there and help a little bit, and we just could not do it.
Well, it's tough to do that too because they had such really good three-point shooters.
Yes, and it's a double-edged sword, but they were really hurting our bigs. So, I felt like we needed to do a little bit more helping out in the posts.
Antoine Wiggins with 2 4-point plays in the first half, 15, and Nori Johnson as well scored, but those 2 steals got you going in the second half that he made.
They really did. I mean, we had some great opportunities. We started to defend. We started to move the ball. And I got a little excited, Nate. And I really thought we were closing the gap, and it was going to get really interesting. So, that was really a bright spot, being able to cut it to 6.
Our Coca-Cola Play of the Week is actually 2 plays this week. You don't see this often in a season, let alone twice in a 5-minute span. Antoine Wiggins with the great pass on the right wing from Andrew Lawrence. He gets fouled, he makes it, and then he makes the free throw for a 4-point play. And about 5 minutes later, this is not an instant replay. This is the second time it happened. Andrew Lawrence once again kicks it out to the wing. Antoine Wiggins with a great 3-point shot and a foul, and another 4-point play. 2 4-point plays in a 5-minute span. Our Coca-Cola Plays of the Week. Welcome back once again to the Bobby Cremins Show, and this is the portion of the show that we title Cougar Conversations. And we have Nori Johnson with us, a sophomore from Greer, South Carolina, went to Burns High School in the upstate, and then, of course, at Fork Union, and now is a sophomore for Coach Cremins on the basketball team. Great football players at Burns High School.
Yeah, I have a lot of good friends that play in the Division I ranks. A couple of them Florida State. A lot of them go to Clemson.
Wasn't Corn from there?
Yeah, Willie Corn.
Yeah, I remember him. Went to Clemson and then
Yeah.
transferred somewhere else.
Yeah.
So did you play football in high school?
I played up until my sophomore year, but those guys beat me up a little bit, so I thought I'd stick with basketball.
Good call. And then, of course, went on to play at Fork Union for maybe the best prep school, high school coach, whatever you want to call him, in the nation, Fletcher Arrett. I've been to Fork Union many times.
Yeah.
It's kind of isolated.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And the military aspect, but great basketball.
Yeah, great basketball. It's kind of like a culture shock when you go up there. I tell the people this all the time, like, it's probably the hardest thing I've ever been through, but the most beneficial thing I've been through. And
it's a great point.
It teaches you a lot more other than basketball. And that's probably something that at the time I needed in my life. And, it was such an honor to play for Coach Harris. He got so much respect. from everybody. You know, it's just like
He's a special kind of guy, and unfortunately, this is his last year. He's going to retire after this year.
Yeah.
He's probably been doing it over 40 years. And talk about great football players at Burns. That's some pretty good basketball players going through Fork Union as well.
Yeah.
Are they noted? Is there pictures up there and stuff?
Yeah, it's a lot of pictures, a lot of jerseys of the guys that went to different ranks,
Right.
different schools, all kind of conferences. Every single conference out there.
Oh, from all over the country.
Guys, it's gone everywhere. I think it's over like 1,000 players.
That's amazing. That's great.
Play Division I basketball.
Well, everybody in the Cougar Nation, and of course Coach Cremins and his staff is very happy to have you here. And fortunately or unfortunately, the way it worked out this year, Anthony Stick gets hurt. And Coach Cremins just explained to us, he says, Nate, it's simple. The sixth guy becomes the starter. The seventh guy becomes the sixth guy. Now you get an opportunity to get out there. And from what I have seen from the way you play, you're a very talented young man, but your effort is outstanding. And that's contagious, especially on the defensive end.
Yeah, the coaches, they wanted one thing out of me, and that was just to play hard. Of course, I still have to polish up some skills, some skill development stuff, but you can't substitute playing hard, you know.
No question.
So I kind of want to take advantage of the opportunity, even though I wanted it under the, different circumstances.
Oh, sure.
But just wanted to, try to take advantage of it.
You dreamed this chance would come. Obviously, you wanted to come last year as a freshman, now as a sophomore. It's here. And I've watched you at practice, and I've watched you in the game. It seems like you're just stepping in, and you're the next guy in line. I mean, it's not like, oh my gosh, he hadn't played much. Can he do it? You just step in and do your thing.
It's kind of something. This year, coming into this year, it was kind of far-fetched for me, but you kind of always keep it in the back of your mind.
Sure.
Like, you want that spot, and you want to be out there on the floor and playing with these guys. And I'm thanking Coach Cremins for the opportunity.
How nice is it when there isn't an opportunity to drive to the basket? You got Ajay, you got Trent, you got some big bodies to throw the ball
some big
into.
bodies in there, yeah. And when we get some low motion going, we get the ball in the post, get some motion going, it's a beautiful thing. And our offense looks great after that. And, those two guys are very, very talented. So it's always good to have those two twin towers down there.
And Anthony said obviously he's not going to be on the court for a while till he comes back from injury, but you know that when you get the ball in Andrew Lawrence's hand and you fill the wing and you're open, he's going to get you to basketball. He makes really good decisions in transition.
Yeah, sometimes he's out there. He sees things that I probably wouldn't see if I had the ball. So he must be eating a lot of carrots because his vision is pretty good.
That's a good one. What are you looking for? I know you set goals before the season, and maybe they didn't come to fruition early in the season because you weren't getting the time.
Right.
Have you changed your aspirations for the rest of the season?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I think my team goals come more, beforehand, before all my individual goals, and want to win the SoCon tournament. We couldn't get over that hump the past couple of years, but I feel like we have a chance this year, and we're gonna go out and do it.
I ask everybody this when they're on Cougar Conversations. I'm going to ask you, how special was the Bahamas? That was a pretty cool place, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's probably the best vacation I've ever been on in my life.
No, you weren't on vacation. You played basketball, but you had a good time.
It was basketball for the most part, but just a lot of friends of mine won't ever have that opportunity to go out and see the Paradise Island. It's just crazy, and I think basketball has created opportunities like that for me.
Sure. Anthony said that the cool thing he noticed was, he said the court was right in the hotel. You just walk down the hall and you're in the arena.
Yeah, you didn't even have to go outside or anything. Actually, they took us on a little shuttle around the hotel to get to the game, but we could have walked.
It was in the same. Yeah, you could have walked right down.
Yeah, we could have walked down there.
That's pretty good. Last thing, I'm going to let you go on this last question. We're sitting in TD Arena. Practice is about to start behind us in a couple minutes. How special is this place when it's filled up? I mean, to me it's exciting, but I'm not on the floor.
Sometimes when you feel like you're not going to have a great night, a great crowd, like this past Saturday, all the NFL games going on, you still had a great crowd. And I thank all the fans for coming out and appreciate it.
Nori Johnson, sophomore on this year's basketball team, and for the rest of this season and for 2 more years, going to be a big part of the Cougar basketball effort and hopefully, as he said, championship. We'll be back with more of the Bobby Cremins Show right after these messages. Welcome back once again to the Bobby Cremins Show. And this is the portion of the show, Coach, where we talk about next week's opponents, and then we look around the NCAA in general. And, of course, it's brought to you by our great friends at Piggly Wiggly. On the road, then back home. First at Georgia Southern, and then round 2 of the conference starts with Furman back here. Charlton Young Willie Powers was hurt last year, does not play, a very good player. He is back, along with Ben Drayton and Eric Ferguson inside. They won one conference game last year. They've won a lot more this year.
Yeah, Charlton Young, former assistant at Georgia Tech under Paul Hewitt. He's an early candidate for Coach of the Year. As you alluded to, Nate, last year, because of injuries, and we talked about that, they really struggled. But Charlton's got them playing some exciting basketball. And, of course, Charlton played basketball at Georgia Southern, so I know he's very, very excited. He's a hard worker, and, Nate, it's a tough environment to play.
Tough style, too. They want to fly up and down the floor and trap and press and all that stuff.
And then we'll come back home and we'll play Furman Paladins. And we played well against them up there, but they're a dangerous team.
Bryson Barnes inside, and, of course, the Reddick twins, Colin inside, Charlie Reddick outside.
Nate, you know I sound like a broken record, but there are no easy games in this league. Greensboro came in here and beat us. They went over to Citadel, and what an incredible ending that was. A tough loss for Citadel, where Greensboro scored with like 0.09 seconds on the clock. So I don't care who you are, there are no easy games in the Southern Conference. And when everybody later on goes up to Asheville for that SoCon tournament, that ought to be something.
Anything unique about you played Furman on January 7th, you're playing 14 days later on the 21st right here in the TD Arena. 2 weeks apart, obviously teams are a little bit better, hopefully.
Yeah.
But any differences?
Yeah, you know, one game at a time, Nate.
Yep.
We know it's going to be a tough game. Again, you just go out through the conference. You just look around. You see the scores, and there are, you know, we get beat up by Wofford, and then Western Carolina beats up on Wofford.
Yep.
I mean, you just see every score. Sanford beats UT Chattanooga.
That's right.
So, you know, it is what it is, but I'm very, very proud of the Southern Conference for having such a competitive league.
Do you see, I mean, you study the conference better than anybody does because obviously you're a head coach in it. You see any trends?
What the big trend I see is the competition.
Yep.
When I first came back to coaching, I walked into what we called a Davidson.
A Curry.
With Stephon Curry. And when I first came back, I hate to say this, it was a one-horse race. And we were all chasing Davidson. And, of course, I would talk about that and people would say, what do you know, you're wrong, you're wrong. And then all of a sudden they almost went to the Final Four, and everybody said, well, Coach was 100% right. And the big change that I've seen in the Southern Conference is, you know, once Stephon Curry left, and actually his junior year, we beat them twice in some of the best games I've ever coached in. But what I see now, Nate, more than anything, is balance. Lots and lots of balance. I went through this in the ACC when I coached at Georgia Tech. I saw Duke sort of be like Davidson, and Duke went on this incredible run where for 5 or 6 years they would only lose 1, 2, or 0 games in the ACC. And Nate, in a lot of ways, you know, it was prestigious having such a great team in your conference, but it hurt our conference because everybody said there was no balance. And having Davidson go to the Final 8 a few years ago, I mean, that was very, very prestigious for our conference. But people would say, well, Davidson has no competition, there's no balance. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. And so the big trend I see now, Nate, is balance in our conference.
Well, talking about balance, we're going to talk about the NCAA a little bit. There are 2 unbeaten as we speak today. Your friend Jim Boeheim at Syracuse, and of course Murray State, which is opposite ends of the continuum, the Power 6 conference in Syracuse, and of course Murray State, a first-year head coach, is in la-la land right now. They haven't been beaten. It's
amazing, Jimmy Boeheim, and Jimmy is a good friend, and you know, he plays that incredible zone. I watched a lot of games, and it's amazing, Nate, the way he does it. I know there was some controversy with the assistant coach, who's a good friend of mine. And to see them go through this controversy and to see these young men, the way they play that zone, it's absolutely incredible, and to carry a dome.
Well, Scoop Jardine's special, but Fab Mello, the 7-footer, in the bottom of that zone is making a big difference.
Yeah, it's incredible. And, of course, let's not forget, Syracuse is going to the ACC.
That's exactly
along
right.
with Pittsburgh. And the other school you mentioned,
Steve Prohm at Murray State.
Murray State, first-year coach. Their head coach went to Texas A&M when Texas A&M lost their outstanding coach. to go to Maryland.
Mark Turgeon went to Maryland.
Mark
right.
Turgeon. So, but what a job that young man is doing. College basketball. It's a little early for March Madness, but Nate and I will be talking about that incredible March Madness coming up about a month from now.
This man knows the Southern Conference, but he studies college basketball. And if anybody knows the trends in college basketball as far as March Madness, we'll get into that because we got plenty of time to talk about that. Bobby Cremins will know about it. Don't go anywhere. We're going to come back and finish out the show right after these messages. We really appreciate you watching the Bobby Cremins Show. Well, that about wraps up another edition of the Bobby Cremins Show. Of course, we want to thank Norrie Johnson for joining us on Cougar Conversations and Coach Cremins for all his great insights about the Southern Conference and NCAA basketball in general. Cougar have 2 games this week. They travel to Statesboro, Georgia to play the Georgia Southern Eagles, and that's on Saturday, and that's a 7:30 p.m. tip. And then the Cougars come right back here to face the Furman Paladins, a great rival in the Southern Conference with Jeff Jackson and all his very good players. And that's an 8 p.m. tip on Thursday night. Both of those games can be seen on MyTV Charleston as well as ESPN3. And don't forget, you can join us, as you did today, every Saturday at noon on MyTV Charleston for the Bobby Cremins Show. A lot more great games and a lot more Southern Conference action to talk about this season. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next week right here on the Bobby Cremins Show.